Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you follow my channel, you know that I recently switched from Indian back to Harley Davidson after 4.5 years on Indian Roadmaster. And so I'm fixing to go get my 1,000-mile service done on my Harley Street Glide. Thought it'd be a good time to do an owner review. If you've watched any of my other owner reviews, you know I think owner reviews are good because you spend some miles on a bike, you really appreciate its strengths and you really notice its weaknesses. No bike is perfect. Stay tuned and I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like. Now, I'm certainly no expert, but I have been riding motorcycles for over 50 years. I know I don't look that old. It can't be possible. I started riding when I was 10 years old. Many years on Japanese motorcycles, started riding Harleys over 20 years ago. I've spent almost 6 years riding Indians. But I love both brands. I love Harley, I love Indian, and I have switched back. And so I want to give you this 1,000-mile review. I'm sure I'll do another review, you know, a 1-year review, 2-year review, so on and so forth. But I want to start out with the looks. And I know beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I may look at a bike and think it's gorgeous. You may look at a bike and think, man, that bike is ugly. But I think they did a good job with the looks. Let's see. The Batwing fairing still has very much an iconic look, but it is more edgy. The headlight, the fairing, integrated the blinkers. They got some little wind deflectors here that came with it. Put the sporty fender on it that came off of the ST Street Glide from previous models. Of course, most of you probably already know, you've already seen them online. They reshaped the gas tank, reshaped the saddlebags. My understanding the frame is the same. Now where the seat bolts on is different. The previous seats will not fit. The dash is nice and flush. If you notice there are no analog gauges. I'll talk more about the tech before the review's over, but looks wise I really think they did a good job. I went with black and chrome. I started to go all black, partly because I didn't want to spend the extra $1,350 for the blacked out, but I like black and chrome. I'm old and I like the contrast between the black and chrome, and I remember the day when the chrome was more expensive. You would buy a bike and chrome it out. So overall I think they did a great job with the looks. They did change the wheels on it, which they do periodically, and Harley always does a great job with the wheels. So I'm very pleased with the look. Oh, of course the tail lights are different. They're going more for that performance bagger as opposed to a custom bagger. The grips, you know, are nice and comfortable. I don't see any need anytime soon to change out grips. You don't have to worry about losing my gas cap. The gas cap stays attached. Oh, she does have a name. For those of you that are not in the biker community, you may not know that motorcycles have to have a name. My wife pitched 2 or 3 names, and the name that stuck was Sophia. So this is Sophie. Now looks wise, does have liquid cooled heads, which I'll talk more about the motor in a little bit. So there is a radiator down there, but they did a good job putting it under the cowling there. But only thing, this reservoir bottle here looks as goofy as can be. Right now, no one's offering, including Harley, lower fairings. Hopefully, at some point they'll come out with lower fairings. I like the lower fairings in the wintertime especially. And that maybe will cover up some of that reservoir bottle. But again, overall, I think they really did a good job with the looks. So stay tuned, and I'm going to go to my bike service, come back, and then take it for a little ride and tell you about the other things from the tech, the motor, suspension, and so on. Again, I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like about this motorcycle. So stay tuned for the full review. So obviously I am very pleased with the look. I think Harley did a good job. Still no doubt that it's an iconic looking Batwing Street Glide, but I do like the styling changes. Next thing I want to address is the motor. The 117 Milwaukee 8. With now it has liquid cooled heads, a claimed 130 foot-pounds of torque at the crank. My Indian had 119 foot-pounds of torque at the crank. And I have to tell you, that motor was one of the main reasons, maybe the main thing, that pulled me back from Indian. I mean, I love both brands. I love Indians, I love Harley Davidsons, but that motor, and it has definitely been everything I hoped it would be. It pulls really hard. It's got ride modes. Now, my Indian was old enough it did not have ride modes. The newer Indians do. But man, 70 miles an hour on the freeway. It purrs at about 2,500 RPMs. And I like the ride modes. Of course, Indian did ride modes years ago, but I mostly keep it in the road mode. But you put it in sport mode, this thing will scoot. And under acceleration, it is extremely smooth. Yes, Harleys still have a shake at an idle, not like they used to, but the shake is still there. Where the Indian, completely smooth at an idle, but when you really romp on that Indian, because it was rigid mounted, I could feel some vibration in the motor and the floorboards that I don't feel on the Harley under acceleration. So I'm extremely happy with the motor. The tech, I was a little leery about not having analog gauges, because if that massive screen goes down, then I lose everything. Speedometer, gas gauge, not just navigation. So I'm a little nervous about that, but you know, it's just modern times. Everything is now tech, and I'm enjoying the navigation. I haven't fully figured it out yet. Like, I can set the trip counter, but I know there's got to be a way I can click on there to show how many hours I've spent in the saddle and those kind of things. Haven't fully had time to really scope out the navigation, the tech, the infotainment center system. But I mean, I like the tech, I like the performance, I like the looks, comfort, heat management. If you've ever watched any of my Indian reviews of that Indian Roadmaster, the heat management was terrible on that motorcycle. And I'm not talking about at red lights, I expect that. I'm talking about highway speed. Sometimes that would get really toasty under my right thigh. And already this year I was feeling that. And this Harley motor, I mean, it was already better heat management than the Indian. Now with the liquid cooled heads, yeah, I'm not feeling any heat whatsoever going down the road. And so comfort as far as heat management goes, you know, Harley wins hands down. The ergonomics seem a little better on this Harley. I don't seem like I sit quite up on the gas tank like I did on previous Harleys. So the ergonomics are good. I think I'll talk about the suspension when I talk about things I don't like about this bike. But overall, ergonomics and comfort are pretty good. But now, I've only spent maybe 4 hours in the saddle on a single day. I'm really eager, you know, to see what it's like to do 5, 6, 7, 800 miles on this bike in one day. I'll go ahead and address the seat now. The stock seat is better than the previous generation. I had a 2019 Street Glide I bought brand new. It was the base model Street Glide with the 107, and so the stock seat on this one is better, but it's not a touring seat. That may be the next thing I add. I've already have a tour pack ordered. I've changed out the windshield, which you probably can't tell from where my camera's located, but I actually look over the windshield, which is a good thing because there's an area of distortion in here where it flips up, which I can see over that. But yeah, I'm either gonna, I still haven't decided if I'm gonna get the seat next, the touring seat, or some slip-on exhaust, because it is painfully quiet. And when you romp on it, you can hear the motor, but it is quiet. And I was used to Tab performance exhaust with zombie baffles that was loud. And so again, I'm going to give one or the other here probably in another month or so, either the seat or the exhaust. So that the seats, you know, from 4 hours, but that's, you know, riding a couple hours, getting off, eating lunch with my buddies, and then getting back on and riding again. I've done that a couple of times since I've had it, with the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group and with the Harley Owners Group. So the seat, you know, for running around town is adequate, but this is a touring bike, and I'm going to do some touring on it. So the seat, you know, it's not bad. Not the best, but not bad. And I know if for my wife or children to ride on the back, that I need a lot better passenger accommodations. So let me tell you what I don't like. I mean, I clearly like the looks, the motor, the overall comfort, performance, comfort, the features, all of that. So my dislikes are more disappointments. I'm disappointed in the radio. Now, once I put the tall windshield on, if I have my short helmet with my hearing aids in, I can hear the radio okay at highway speed. Riding to the dealership to get my 1,000-mile service, I did not have my hearing aids in, and I could barely hear the radio out at 70 miles an hour on the freeway. And I could turn it halfway up on my Indian and hear it crystal clear at highway speed. So I'm disappointed with the volume. Sound quality is very good. Now, I know people like, I just forgot the name of it. There's Volunteer Audio. They're offering a amplifier with some speakers that are supposed to be plug and play. They're supposed to be much better than stock. But you spend this kind of money, you shouldn't have to upgrade the sound system. I'm disappointed with the sound system. The suspension. They did improve the suspension over the previous generation. They went from 2 inches of travel to 3 inches of travel. On top of that, the previous generation, there was a knob on the left side where you could kind of adjust the preload, but I never could find the sweet spot. Well, this one on the right side with the spanner wrench, you can set your preload. You can look at a chart in the manual. You look at your weight, if you're going to run a tour pack or luggage or a co-rider, and it'll tell you how to set the preload. Right now I have the preload set on the right side for myself. At first I set it for the tour pack, but my tour pack hadn't come in yet, which is a whole other story. It was kind of my fault with the shipping address, but anyway, that's a different, I'll save that for another video. So at first I set it with the tour pack, and I went back and I took the tour pack weight off and reset the preload on the right side. So my understanding, let's say if I set it for me and the tour pack with the right shock, then if my wife wants to ride, I can turn the knob on the left side to fine-tune the preload for a passenger. But overall, the suspension is much better. I mean, out on the freeway, the smooth freeway is pretty good. These country back roads here in North Carolina, I'm definitely feeling stuff I'd never felt on my Indian. I kind of compare it to getting out of a Cadillac and getting into a Camaro, or maybe a Corvette, but let's just say Camaro. Well, I don't know, price-wise, maybe it'd be like getting out of a Cadillac into a Corvette. You don't expect the Corvette to have the same suspension as the Cadillac. The Indian monoshock, made by Fox, it was an air shock. Oh man, it just floated over stuff. It really had a Cadillac ride. The ride on this Harley is more sporty, definitely stiffer. So I'll probably keep trying to adjust the preload, especially after my tour pack comes in, and my wife doesn't ride that often, but I want it to be comfortable when she does. And I want it to be comfortable for me. I will ride 800 miles in one day. So I'm still not sure if I'm going to stay with the stock suspension, or at some point I'll upgrade. I know the previous generation Street Glide, a lot of people upgraded their suspension. The suspension is passing. I was used to a Cadillac ride with the suspension. So that's kind of a disappointment. I'm disappointed with the radio volume. I'm a little disappointed with the suspension compared to what I was used to. Let's see, they did a good job. I already pointed out that that radiator reservoir looks kind of goofy. But let's see, other disappointments. This is more of a dislike than a disappointment. I'm going to step it up a notch. The location of the horn button. They put it on the blinker switch on the left side, which I have pretty big hands, I think, but I don't know if you can tell with the camera down there. I have to reach for the horn button. And sometimes if I'm in heavy traffic on the interstate, I like to ride with my thumb on the horn button. It should be where the little back switch is for the infotainment system. So Harley, you need to swap out the location of the little back button. I mean, I need to be able to, if I'm grabbing brakes and clutch in an emergency stopping situation and I need to be honking the horn, I want to be able to reach it. I mean, let me see here if I can grab the clutch. Yeah, it's just a reach. I've got the clutch all the way in. It's a reach to the horn button. That's a disappointment. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, that's a dislike. It's worse than a disappointment. Another little bit of a disappointment is the switch gauges are not backlit. And of course, I'm still trying to learn where everything is. Some stuff that used to be on the left side is now on the right side, and if it was backlit, it'd be easier to see in the dark. Now, I wondered about this one headlight. Of course, it's got the LED lights integrated in the fairing for the blinkers that are running lights when they're not, the blinkers aren't, I don't turn on the blinker indicator. But it really puts out a decent amount of light at night. I've ridden it once after dark. So most of my disappointments are kind of nitpicky. The radio, I remember I didn't have any problem hearing my radio on my 19th Street glide. So I may eventually have to do the amplifier and some better speakers on the radio. But overall, I'm happy with my purchase. You may have heard me say in other reviews, I think the long-term reviews are way better than just the test drive. I mean, obviously, some of these disappointments I didn't notice on the test drive. I did with the salesperson. I've only got 1,000 miles on the bike so far. I normally ride about 14,000 miles a year. So I mean, I'll definitely do a 1-year owner review, 2-year, 3-year, and so on. Sometimes I'll do benchmark. I remember doing the 50,000 mile owner review on my Indian. So I'll continue to do owner reviews, and I will point out what I like and what I don't like. You know, some people, they think their motorcycle is a perfect machine, and I don't think that exists. On a scale of 1 to 10, I've never owned a motorcycle that was a 10. Now this one today, you know, a full 10 in the way it looks. I'll give the motor a full 10. The tech so far, I mean, I'm still learning how to navigate it, which I'm technologically challenged. Most people could probably figure that out the first 24 hours. But the tech, so far I'd give it a 10. The ride modes, heat management, the only thing that my biggest disappointments would be the shock, even though the rear shock's a vast improvement. The front end, I think, is fine. And then the radio volume. So today, you know, I may give it, depends on, you know, after I've done an 800-mile day, I might give it a different number, or after I've had it several months. But on a scale of 1 to 10, and I do love Harley Davidson, so this, you know, a little biased probably. But I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give this motorcycle a 9 overall, which is usually what I gave my Indian Roadmaster. It was normally a 9 mainly because of that heat management was terrible. So I think this is very comparable to the Indian. I do like the looks better on this bike. The Indian was the classic looking, kind of that neo retro. I mean, it had the old retro look with the full fender and the war bonnet. They tried to imagine what a 1940s touring bike would look like. They made the fairing look like a 1940s train locomotive on that Indian. Now, Indians have some fairings that look far more similar to this Harley fairing, but again, between the two, obviously I traded my Indian. I say they're both 9s. Maybe I should give this one a 9 point something. I mean, if you figure in dealer network, part supply, aftermarket, community, size, I mean, you figure in everything, and I might bump this up to a 9.5 because those are factors. I mean, they're just real factors. You can buy accessories for the Harley. We say Harley accessories are expensive. They're 25% of the price or less of Indian motorcycle accessories. So, okay, that's what I'm gonna give it today. I'm gonna bump it up from a 9 to a 9.5. I wish it had a better sound system and, you know, a softer rear shock, but that's where I'm at. So overall, I feel good about my purchase, and as I say on a regular basis, because I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and one day you won't be either. I don't care if you're 25 years old right now. You'll be surprised how fast 30, 35 years can go by. So if you like to ride, you ride as much as you can, because one day we're all going to be too old to ride.